The White House has indicated to Congress that it's open to a new border policy similar to Title 42. The policy now under consideration would allow the U.S. to expel migrants without asylum screenings. It would also expand the number of migrant detentions and deportations. CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez joins us now. We really appreciate your reporting on all of these immigration issues. Take us inside the White House's perspective on the ongoing immigration discussions. What are they considering when it comes to migrant rights, Democratic pushback, and also Republican demands as they seek this broader deal on Ukraine funding?
Well, Bob, we have learned here at CBS News that the White House is considering some pretty sweeping and drastic limits on asylum eligibility and also new authorities to increase deportations and the number of migrants who can be detained here in the U.S. while their cases are adjudicated by U.S. courts. One of the proposals is a reinstatement of a Title 42-like policy that would allow border agents to summarily expel migrants to Mexico or to their home countries without processing their claims. It would not be tied, however, to a public health emergency like Title 42 was. Instead, it would be tied to the daily number of illegal border crossings. So whenever there is a certain number of crossings, that authority would be triggered.
Let's pause there
Sure.
for a second and dig into this.
Yeah.
When a migrants' rights advocate hears that Title 42-like policy, what's their reaction? And when a Republican who is calling for stricter border policy hears Title 42-like on all these fronts, what do they hear? Because it seems to be probably a different thing to a different block.
From the progressive perspective, Bob, this is a return to a draconian Trump-era policy. This was a order enacted by the CDC at the outset of the pandemic during the Trump administration that used COVID as a pretext to expel migrants, and it suspended asylum law effectively. It denied migrants the legal right that they have under domestic and refugee law internationally to request asylum if they're physically here on U.S. soil. That's the concern from Democratic lawmakers who are more progressive and Latino lawmakers in the House and in the Senate who are pushing the White House to refrain from agreeing to this. From the Republican perspective, they believe this is a critical tool to manage the unprecedented flows of migration that we're seeing along the border. Border Patrol recorded over 2 million migrant apprehensions the past fiscal year. That's only the second time in U.S. history that that has happened. And they believe they need this authority because the U.S. right now does not have the personnel or the resources to screen everyone for asylum. So they're basically arguing that the stadium is full, Bob, and that they cannot screen more people when there's a certain threshold met in terms of illegal crossings.
Do you believe it would be enough for Republicans to come along and cut a deal with the White House on immigration and Ukraine?
It could very well be enough for Senate Republicans who have been pushing for a compromise because these are all policies that they have demanded. However, the open question, Bob, is whether House Republicans will view this as sufficiently strict to deal with the situation at the border because earlier this year, they passed an immigration bill known as H.R. 2 that was much more sweeping in nature. It would, for example, mandate the detention of migrant families traveling with children, return the U.S. to the Remain in Mexico policy, and severely restrict, importantly, the parole authority, which is this law that the administration has been using to resettle hundreds of thousands of migrants from Afghanistan, Ukraine, and other parts of the world.
You've sketched out the contours of a possible deal with the senators, both Democrats and Republicans, and the Biden administration. You've also mentioned H.R. 2, the Republican proposal in the House. Is there anything in the House Republican H.R. 2 border proposal that would be acceptable to the Senate working group and the White House?
Well, all these items that I mentioned initially during the first part of our segment are in H.R. 2, a Title 42
so some
authority.
of it's at least being included.
Yes. The White House, remarkably, in my opinion, is accepting much of H.R. 2 right now.
Are Democrats going to revolt if H.R. 2 is being included?
Many of them will revolt. You're seeing a lot of progressives come out against this proposal by the White House. However, the White House is betting on their argument winning out. And that argument is that if they don't enact significant restrictions on asylum and the border policy, Trump may win in 2024, and he would enact even more draconian measures.
If President Biden is not directly involved, who's the key person to watch quickly on the Biden side in terms of negotiating on immigration? Who's the person who does the negotiation?
The chief of staff and obviously the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, who was just on Capitol Hill yesterday.
Camilo Montoya-Galvez, thank you so much for your reporting.